Yeah, they work really well for like when you're on the go and going to like the Selling South Tampa. You're walking around the house and you know you got yours.
Because I got my little tiny one that I got from
Yeah.
Amazon. I was like, I don't feel like spending $300 on a DJI, so I was just like, I'll just.
This is pretty much because you watch like all the videos when you're about to buy expensive equipment, and they compared those to the DJIs.
It's like half the price probably.
Yeah, it's like 20. I don't know, but it works a lot longer range. The quality of the audio is like a little bit better, but the battery is really good.
Okay.
So.
How much are these?
These are right at 300. It might have been 250.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, I had the downgraded version first, and then like I said, I upgraded them when we started getting like better people.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
the bigger and heavier it looks, it's like, oh, that's more expensive. These guys are more professional, you know.
usually like the bigger this thing is, the less it's probably gonna
Exactly.
make more sense. Yeah.
All right, so we are one down, but we are with Selling South Tampa podcast. We have the Tampa Turf guy here today.
What's up, guys?
So Chandler is going to tell us a little bit about his up and coming, basically, to going viral. A little bit about him, even a little bit about your horror podcast too.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna keep that. I don't even know if people heard me. So
It's like, do we need to hold these up?
yeah, right. I'll get you a fidget spinner.
Oh, dude, please. It'd be so useful if I actually had one.
So tell me a little bit about your story here in Tampa. How'd you get here? How long have you been here?
So born and raised in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a bit of a rarity nowadays. I feel
Yeah,
like most
nobody's from here. That's one thing I've realized. Everybody's from New Jersey or Ohio.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing every person I meet.
Ohio's a very big one, Midwest, anywhere in California too. It's becoming a lot more popular. So yeah, I was born and raised here. Went to high school here, middle school, everything. I moved away to Nashville for a year. Went to school up there for music business. Ended up hating the school, unfortunately. I love Nashville.
It sounded like such a cool story at first.
Yeah, it was cool in the beginning. I went to Belmont, which is like a private school up there. That's what they're known for. More people probably know Vanderbilt, which is right down the street.
Yeah.
Didn't love it. Was just not feeling it. Left. Went to UCF in Orlando.
Let's go.
Yep.
I went to Rollins.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Orlando. Figured I wanted to be close to home, but not too close to home. So Orlando seemed like the right fit. My buddies wanted me to join a band too, so ended up doing that as well while being in Tampa, and graduated from UCF after 4 years. They didn't take like half my credits when I transferred, of course.
That's the worst.
And then came back. I think I had 2 or 3 months left on my lease in Orlando, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. No one would hire me. I had a near 4.0 GPA, 3 different internships. No one would hire me. I was like, okay. So I got my real estate license as a backup, just as something to have.
Bro, me too.
That's literally all it was. It wasn't.
Not to interject.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything fancy.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, couldn't hurt to have this.
Yeah.
And then I got real lucky. I made a deal with my dad, and I said, if I move back home, will you let me live with y'all for a year while I try this? And he said, sure, absolutely. But if it doesn't work out, you do something else. I said, okay. First year, I did pretty well. And then 8 years later, still in real estate.
Nice.
So it's been a process. The whole influencer part of it is very new to me. But yeah, that's pretty much the general process of how I grew up and everything. So
Yeah, no, that's cool because it was my senior year at college whenever I knew I was going to be leaving, and you're thinking, oh, you're supposed to have like these internships and jobs
And, like,
all this
everything
stuff
figured out in
lined up.
life,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, oh, I'm smart now. I have a degree.
Yep.
Like, nope.
they don't care. No
So
one cares.
I went to real estate school during syllabus week. I was like, nobody's in class anyway, so you can get it in a week. Let me just like sprint through this.
I didn't even think about that. That would have been smart. Actually.
Yeah, so I did that the very last semester while I was also doing crew. So like my coach was like mad at me that I didn't show up twice, but it was cool. He kept me on the team.
It's one of the most intense sports too. Like to miss anything, I feel like.
It's funny you went to UCF because like there was one regatta we went to where we're all at the starting line and they're about to shoot the gun off, and we were next to UCF. And literally, like, their whole 8-person boat, whatever happened, like, completely flipped over. And they shot the gun. And so everybody was just off.
Okay, well, UCF crew team, probably not the best in the world.
It's like distraction, bro.
It works.
Yeah.
I'd take it.
It was pretty funny.
Crew's insane. I had a few friends, like my friend Sky in high school. She was the, what do you call it, like the smaller person?
The coxswain.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
she was
coxswain.
that, and she basically just told me she's like, yeah, all I do is pretty much yell at people all day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
It's a fun option.
Sounds like a lovely time.
Throw me, bitches.
Yeah, but you guys are also in like the most insane shape ever. Like crew people scare me. How
I miss it, dude. I was in the best shape of my life. I wish I could get my back to it.
Isn't like your entire Instagram like working out half the time and stuff? Like, dude, I got like a skinny dad bod. I got nothing to show for that. I eat McDonald's on the daily, so it's fun. You know.
Hey, you got to realtor life.
That's the struggle.
All right, get back on track. Where are we at? So yeah, you lived in Tampa. You moved back here. So you banged it out with real estate within the first year. You know that's pretty cool. What do you think? Like, was it connections and being here, referrals? What kind of pumped you up in the beginning?
Honestly, I had. Are we allowed to curse on here?
Go for it. Dude. I'll edit it out. I probably won't. I'm gonna be lazy.
I honestly had no fucking clue what I was doing. Like, so I got my license. I didn't know what real estate entailed. I didn't know how it operated. I just thought it was okay. I saw this on TV. Maybe this is how this works. Whatever. I hung my license with Keller Williams because I didn't really know any better.
Nothing against Keller.
Yeah, nothing against Keller at all. Like honestly, like my.
But they have all the classes, right?
Yeah,
that's the appeal. You go there for training.
Exactly.
That's real estate school.
Absolutely. Like honestly, like when I went to real estate school, whatever it's like an SAT. 90% of it you don't remember.
Yeah.
After you even do it, I don't need to know how many square feet are in an acre and all that BS. It's never helped me. I don't think I've used a single bit of knowledge from real estate school since I left and got my license. But yeah, I hung my license with KW Tampa Central. Shout out to Dallas if you're still there. But I met some cool people there. A woman by the name of Virginia Arnold, who is now Virginia Bond, I believe is her new last name. She basically runs, if you've ever been to Stone Lake Ranch out in Onasassa, it's like really, really like 10,000 square foot homes on like acres of land. That's basically like her entire facility. Like no one touches it but her.
Nice.
But she was basically my mentor when I first started, and she was with KW originally and got me started going into everything. And I joined mainly for the appeal of the classes and learning and whatever. And for those first 3 or 4 months, I was just sort of sitting in classes, not really doing anything, sort of reaching out to friends here and there, like, I'm in real estate now, as if they cared at all.
I'm a professional,
right? It almost felt like I was part of like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Like you're sort of reaching out to your friends like, I do this now, and they're just like, I don't care. So not to mention I was in an age bracket to where I can't remember how old I was. It's 8 years, like so 22. Mm-hmm. When I first started, none of my friends were buying houses. Zero.
Yeah.
Like, so reaching out to them and stuff was, hello? That was my phone. Sorry. Reaching out to them was near impossible because they just weren't in that mindset. They weren't ready for that, whatever. So I was trying to rely on my parents' sort of connections at first because why not? And
that's not a bad idea though. Honestly, like just let me get coffee with your friends.
Yeah, or something like that. But like it didn't really pan out because at the same time, like 50, 60-year-olds who have probably had an agent for 20 years don't trust a 21-year-old kid to do real estate.
They probably also like watched you like do shenanigans growing up too.
Probably.
So maybe that doesn't help.
Probably not the best connection in the world. So I sort of just toughed it out, and I realized, at least back in that time, which makes me sound like I'm ancient, but I started doing open houses, and I started like shadowing people, met a few agents, just sort of seeing what they did with open houses and tried to get the lay of the land. And then I did 2 or 3 open houses, up to 4 open houses every single weekend for, I think, every weekend the first year I was in real estate, aside from maybe 2 weekends. Like, that's all I did.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way I knew how to make or get business, really, without spending the money I did not have.
Exactly.
Because like when you first start real estate, you want to, oh hey, spend $1,000 to buy these leads that you'll probably never convert, and you focus on the wrong things. You're like, I want this pamphlet that I can send out to all these people who probably don't give a shit about me. So I was like, you know what? do open houses, meet people organically, see where it goes from there. And my entire first year, I think like 90% of my business was all people I met from open houses.
That's cool. No, that's like valuable too. Like I didn't even expect that for this podcast, but like yeah, just starting out, realtor like open house game. There's plenty of listing agents who are out there that would be willing to let you go and show their house because they're not going to want to do it.
It's free marketing.
Exactly. Yeah, you just bring your laptop, bring whatever. Like it's a mobile office. It's probably nice too. It's AC. I bet it's
Absolutely.
got Wi-Fi.
Well, the big thing, the issue with it back then though was like 8 years ago, whatever. That I guess was sort of a foreign concept for some reason.
Oh, really?
At least it seemed to be. I wouldn't just do. Oh, how you doing? I wouldn't do things with just for my brokerage.
Yeah.
I would literally reach out to any agent and be like, I don't care what brokerage you're with. Are you cool if I host an open house for you? And a lot of them would just question and be like, but you're not with our brokerage. Why would I let you do that?
You're on the red team.
Yeah,
I'm on the blue team.
right. It's just like, because you're not doing it, I'll do it for you. It's free marketing for your house.
Win-win.
Yeah, and it looks good to your seller. Why not? So I had to like convince a lot of agents to be like, let me just host an open. Let's see how it goes. And it was definitely not always the most fun thing in the world, but it worked out. And I busted my ass for that first year, and it worked out pretty well, to be honest. I did well my first year, and then just kept going. 8 years later, now I'm here. But it's a whole different market now in a whole different place. So
it's interesting to hear that because I bet everyone probably like that watches your videos, like Tampa Turf and the ones that go viral, are like, oh, this is what I need to do to get successful. And like that's not even your story.
Yeah,
that's just like
all.
Icing on a whole nother cake you didn't expect.
I think where I'm at now is ultimately where I wanted to be, but social media wasn't much of a thing for real estate 8 years ago. Like, sure, I had an Instagram, but Reels did not exist.
Yeah.
I don't even know if TikTok was a thing yet. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it wasn't even a thing. That was back in the Vine days, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, I miss Vines.
Yes,
Vines were so,
we all do.
I wish we would bring that back.
I literally just got back from my friend had a birthday party this past weekend, and she threw a Vine-themed birthday party.
Yeah.
So we all dressed up as our favorite Vine, just had Vine
God.
compilations playing.
I don't know if it's because of the time period or if it was actually funny. Like,
I think
it's
both.
hard to,
I think it was part of the time period, but I also think
Yeah.
it was legitimately funny because I watched back on all those and I'm like, this still trumps anything I think TikTok's ever done.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Absolutely. So Buster's here.
How you doing,
Made
man?
it. They actually want us to crack that door, so I'm going to pop that open.
Oh, you're good.
Like, now we're locked in.
How you doing, man? Sorry I'm late. No, you're good. Jay,
I know.
nice to meet you, man.
Buster's going to shift this angle. So tell us a little bit about your horror podcast.
Oh, God.
What started that? What prompted that up?
Me and my buddy Sean, shout out to my best friend.
We have a ghost sitting in this chair too, by the way. That's why it's here. You saw that from the camera angle.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
If anything picks up on the camera, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he actually reached out to me. He was sort of the idea behind all of it. He hit me up and was just like, he's like, hey man, you're into horror movies. I clearly like that was one of our biggest bonding things, aside from growing up in the music scene together and we were in a band together and all that stuff. But,
Yeah.
And he's like, I think it'd be fun, like whatever. And I didn't really mess with TikTok all that much. Like it took forever for me to download it. And I was like, okay, fine. So we really just started posting clips of movies and shit like that. Nothing really fancy or specific, but those clips did really well on that platform. So like any horror movie clips we would post would get 20 to 100K views.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. So that slowly, turn that off, sorry. That slowly built up our, it was me and then you.
You're doing great.
But it basically slowly built up our platform over time. And then we got to the point where we were like, why don't we do reviews and like see how that goes and whatever. And honestly, it's been one of the biggest blessings in disguise because like we've met so many cool people on TikTok, specifically like horror TikTok. I always have to pronounce that properly because I never say I always just say horror and people assume I'm talking about something else.
Yeah.
But we've met some of the coolest people in the world, and like ironically we found out that a ton of people in the horror community, especially the ones we knew, live here. And
Really?
we did not know that. So like our buddy Rob lives 30 minutes from us, our buddy Kyle lives 10 minutes from us, and we were like, what?
Yeah.
So we've actually been able to make connections in person. We actually just went up to 13th floor in Jacksonville, which is a like world famous haunt. They have them all over the U.S., but we got media passes to that because of our TikTok, and our buddy Kyle went with us. He's got a huge following. He's got like 100,000 followers, I think, on TikTok now. Yeah, and we just sort of dove into it, and we keep doing it, but obviously Sean's been holding it down for me lately just because I've been so busy with everything else at this point, but trying to slowly get back into it, it's just been tough. Like when you spend 2 hours filming a video, 2 hours editing, the last thing you want to do is go home, watch a horror movie, and then have to review and edit that. So it's a process.
It's a whole process instead of just the fun that comes out.
Yeah, it almost sort of ruins the fun of it all, to be honest, because you're doing it for a job now, so like the hobby aspect of it's just non-existent.
Yeah.
So it's like a plumber. Like if a plumber does plumbing all day, the last thing he wants to do is fix his plumbing while he's home, right? It's the same concept, I guess. Yeah. But it's been fun, honestly. The TikTok account has done really well, and we've met some of the coolest people in the world from it.
So some of the places that you've gone have been like haunted places or whatever.
Yeah.
What's like one of the coolest things that you've witnessed or seen?
I can't say we've seen like paranormal as stuff all that much. Like we make road trips up to Savannah, do some of the ghost tours and stuff and all that if we get the opportunity to. And then like we've been to St. Augustine, obviously, or we've gone to 13th floor. We always do Halloween Horror Nights. We always do Sir Henry's, which is in Plant City, which is a really, really cool haunt every year. Screamageddon. There's a lot of them, actually, all over Florida. There's one in Miami, actually, I did. This was before we even had the TikTok, but there's one in Miami that's 24/7, basically. They're year-round. They have their own building. I forgot what they're called. It's not Paranoia, something like that, maybe. But they're down in Miami. They have their own building, and basically the entire haunt is pitch black.
Oh, cool.
You can't see anything, literally nothing. The actors are allowed to touch you.
So you don't have to wear the special like glow stick necklace.
Like
you're in.
Yeah, you sign a waiver.
Okay.
Like when you enter and you like say you're about to do it, they literally make you sign a waiver stating actors are allowed to touch you. They're not liable for whatever.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get around the entire place is from these little red camera dots that are on the walls. That's how you navigate. So, and there's elevation. You have to go up ramps and all this stuff. And then at the end of it, you can watch the footage back to see what happened, and half the time there was like an actor like 2 inches from my face following me around for like 5 minutes, and I had no idea. So that's probably been one of the more fun ones, but that was long before the TikTok even was a thing. But no, we've had cool opportunities. Just the fact that we get screeners from all these companies, like different movie companies, has been super cool. So one of the benefits. What's up?
Sorry about that.
Player 3 has entered the game.
Went to the wrong place. One of us is usually late, or I'm usually looking at the calendar on the way here and thought it was in Bayshore Beautiful. So setting up the live, and excited to have the Tampa Turf guy here. Basically, celebrity, man. What you've been doing on social is just so incredible.
I am not a celebrity by any means, please.
You're an E-list celebrities, E-list celebrity.
Sure, I'll take that. Sure, like
TikTok list,
F-list celebrity is like bottom tier.
Man, it's been awesome to watch your tours, and
Thank you,
I never realized it was kind of, I guess, a playoff of the one dude that that does TikTok videos or whatever.
Yeah, so I give credit to him every chance I get. Brad in San Antonio, shout out to Brad the realtor. He basically made one video. He went viral overnight. I think he gained 100,000 followers on TikTok in a matter of 3 or 4 days. Something like that. It was absurd. His first video got, I think, 5-6 million views. It was absolutely insane. And then I was sort of curious on how it operated, so I messaged him directly on Instagram and was like, hey, I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in real estate. I love this. This is my sense of humor. Are you cool if I do something like this and implement it in my style and sort of make this my own and make it work? And he was the coolest dude ever. He's like, dude, absolutely. We're in different markets. Fuck it. Enjoy yourself. Have fun.
Awesome.
As long as you're not stealing my content, I don't care. I was like, okay, cool. So I think the next day, I got lucky. I just sort of jumped on that bandwagon pretty quick because I think I was probably maybe the second or third agent to start that style of stuff.
Right.
Maybe. I could be totally wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure, based at least off my posting. And the next day, I went to a random house, new construction house, wasn't staged, nothing, had nothing fancy about it. I just sort of set up a tripod, said, let's see how this works. I look back at that first video and I cringe because I think
we're doing right now.
But I think it's awful now looking back at it. But I filmed it. I sent it to 10 plus people. I basically was like, "Is this funny or am I an idiot? Tell me if I'm not funny, please." And most everyone was cool with it. I had a few friends who were questionable on it. They were like, "I don't know if this is the best look to do this." Blah 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 blah, which is fair. I sent it to my broker Frank, and Frank was like, "That's hysterical. Post it." I was like, "Okay."
Absolutely.
So I posted it, tried something different, and I even shouted Brad out in the first video. I tagged him and everything. I was like, "Yo, thanks for the inspiration, dude." Giving him full credit. And 250K views or so later, it sort of popped off, and I was like, "Okay, well, it did way better than I thought it would." So I kept doing them. I'm not as consistent as Brad or a lot of them, just because like it takes me 2 hours and all my brain power in the world to film them, and like 2+ hours to edit. So
you don't have help? I thought you might have somebody there filming. Okay.
No, so it's all me. Like everything is a tripod, my phone, and just a tiny microphone from Amazon. And
one-man circus.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching you since you started, and I was sending it to him. I was watching you blow up, and I'm like sending it to Jonathan, like, "Hey, we need to be doing, this dude's on to something."
Well, it's funny because there's a ton of agents doing it now. Like I'm pretty sure there's one dude on TikTok, but he had a huge following before he started real estate, so he sort of had something to build off of. His name's Caramel Express. He's really, really big. I think he's got like 1.2 million followers now on TikTok, but he had like 500K before he did it, I think. He's got his own style. He does his own thing, and then like there's a few others. So it's definitely become more of a trend nowadays. It's just a matter of, I guess, longevity. Like how long can this keep being a thing before people might get sick of it or might get old of it?
Yeah, oversaturated.
Yeah, that's sort of the issue. Is like now everyone seems to be doing it, so it's like, okay, well, who's actually funny, who actually isn't? When I post a video, I don't think I'm funny at all. Like I just sort of hope that people like it.
Yeah. No, it's the dry humor. That's what caught me is your wit. That like it's inside jokes, and it's just
self-deprecating.
It's hilarious. And then how you've gotten more cuss word-ish, and you got a little more. You could tell you're a little more comfortable with it, and it was just funny as hell, man. I mean, very entertaining, and just like, I mean, I loved it.
I appreciate it.
It was awesome, and that's so cool that you went with your gut. And even asking Brad to do that, that's a very cool move.
I think it made sense because, like, I didn't want to be that person who, like, just posted something and it was clearly an exact copy of someone else, and it was just, like, it's pointless. So I tried to do the right thing and be like, hey, is this cool if I do this? And he was all for it. I've had so many people in my comments be like, oh, you're just a carbon copy of Brad, blah, 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 whatever. And then I literally will tag Brad in the comment, and he'll come comment on it and be like, dude, Chandler literally asked me for permission. He's cool as hell.
Save me, Brad.
And I literally, like, help, please. Like, and he'll literally be like, dude, he did it the right way. He asked permission. He's never taken any of my jokes. He does his own thing, and he has his own style. Which, if you watch Brad videos and if you watch mine, you can tell there's definitely inspiration, but you can also tell they're very different.
Yeah.
Like, he actually talks more about the house, which is probably important, whereas I sort of
You're just sitting there for therapy and swearing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's just a bunch of pop culture references, self-deprecation, and ADD. That's about my entire mix.
Exactly my style. No, and it's great, too, that you listen to your intuition and your heart, and you went for it, because most people in those situations that will tell you to be careful, all they're doing is projecting their fears upon you, that whatever, that it's not really their concern for your whatever. It's that they wouldn't do anything like that, so therefore they want to warn you against doing that.
At the same time, I think they were definitely looking out for my best interest.
Absolutely.
Which I totally respect and I get. But at the same time, like, now I'm starting to see other realtors who are just sort of more comfortable being themselves versus like this. Let's be real. Like, there's a lot of like corny marketing with real estate. It's just like this whole selling sunset. I wear a suit. I drive a Lamborghini. I probably rented it for the day to show myself in front of this $10 million house that I don't sell or own.
Have anything to do with.
Yeah,
project like it's mine.
Yeah, it's a giant facade, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm this multi-millionaire investor agent who does all these things. It's just not really my thing. It never has been. Like, I focus on first-time home buyers. That's my favorite part of the process. Like, I'm professional, obviously, when the time comes, when I need to be a professional.
Right.
But, like, I still like having fun during the process, you know?
Yeah, start acting crazy at the title table in closing.
There's been some interesting ones with that, too. Like, I had one of my clients, Kale. Oh, my God, funniest human being alive. They brought a speaker, like, playing music, like, walking up to the title office and, like, going up to the stairs. Brought party poppers, wore an entire get-up and outfit with these massive shades. Was blasting music during closing. It was such a fun time.
That's cool. Sounds fun.
But it's I don't know. I like the fact that you can be professional but still have fun with your job, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't like the idea of having to be like this suit-wearing fake whatever, you know? Like, and nothing wrong with that, obviously.
You got to be yourself, man.
Yeah,
There's, people are going to pick up on that authentic vibe, and your vibe will attract your tribe, you know?
What's the thing? It's like I know my content is not for everybody.
Right.
I'm very well aware of that. Am I probably going to attract like 80-year-old like baby boomers who want to buy $5 million houses? Probably not. Probably not necessarily my go-to, because I doubt they want a bunch of dick jokes being told about the house they're selling, which is totally fair.
I mean, maybe Ric Flair.
Oh, God. Woo! Dude,
He
just
got not arrested, or he either got booted out of a bar or something like that.
He got kicked out of a bar.
Yeah, kicked out of a bar.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him at American Social in a while. So
too many.
Is that where he
I
hangs
miss
out?
you, Rick. Yeah, dude. You're a regular here in Tampa.
I
I've
don't-
only been here 3 years.
I don't go to American Social that I might.
I'd say one out of every 4 times I go, I see him. So I only go for networking too.
There's a good amount of wrestlers who live in Tampa.
Yeah.
Like Ric Flair is obviously one of the bigger ones. I think
Dave Batista.
Batista lives here. I think
Trying to get him. So whenever you're
Yeah,
ready,
we
dude.
want Batista,
want you out here.
Hulk,
He's an A-list actor. At this
Yeah.
point.
and
That's
Hulk's
tough.
daughter. She's
Working
a
her way up.
realtor, and she's
She does real
smoking.
estate?
Yeah,
I didn't
smoking
know she
hot.
does real estate.
Anyway.
I had no idea she does real estate.
Not only does she
Oh
do
my
real
God.
estate. Hulk, nothing personal.
I was like, that's the last person you want to mess with, even if he's like 80 years old.
I'm trying to get him on the podcast, even if it is to come.
Yeah,
Might
might not be
suplex
that
you on this
same.
oak table.
Rocky Balboa
Oh
moments.
my God. Have Batista come save you in the process.
I saw him at Walgreens, and I looked at him and I said, bet you here like you look like Dave Batista a good bit. He looked at me and smiled. He said, I sure do. It's like one of those times where you just think of something to say and it rolls off.
That's the thing. It's like I don't get starstruck or anything very easily.
Yeah, me
but
neither.
like sometimes it's like, if you want to talk to a celebrity, what do you even say? Like I don't want to come off rude or like awkward, because they get that all the time. So it's like, but then again, that's the weirdest thing in the world that I've been getting used to. I've gotten recognized in public, which I'm not a celebrity. I'm not like, I don't even consider myself an influencer at this point. Like I have friends who have like hundreds of thousands of followers or millions of followers, and I am not there yet, but hopefully one day. But like the fact that I've even gotten recognized in public by people is the weirdest thing in the world to me, because it's like I'm just a dude. Like I just make funny videos on the internet.
Just a guy.
Yeah, like, but I remember that's how I knew my Instagram was sort of taking off a little bit, because I was at a Starbucks in Valrico, of all places. I think I just had like a listing appointment or something with some clients, and I stopped there to just do some work, and I sat down, and the 2 guys behind me, one taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Are you a Tampa Turf dude on Instagram?" I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And both of them started talking to me and recognized me. They left. I continued working for like 30 minutes or like an hour. And then at one point, another girl comes in with her friend, and they're sitting down next to me and whatever. I stay there for like another 10 minutes. And then I get up, I'm about to leave, and she's like, "By the way, I love your videos." I'm just like, what?
Were we in the conversation?
Like, it was 2 different people at the same place, and I'm just like, okay. So it's the funniest thing when I've had friends message me and be like, one of my friends just sent me your videos and was like, "Do you know this guy?" And she was like, better than you think. So it's like...
Well, you're giving us street cred on our podcast, man. We've had Mark Barrios, the smooth jazz musician,
very
with
cool.
Danny Hernandez, the owner of the Brisket Shop.
Oh, very cool.
We've had Zach from 102.5 The Bone. But
that was the Hula Bay one.
We try to bring somebody with some local celebrity, to them or whatever. So
I definitely don't consider myself a celebrity.
Well, I'll tell you what was funny about
Rico
it.
famous, bro.
Well,
Apparently.
what was funny about it, I'll tell you, you are. I mean, here I am, nobody special or whatever, but, have a little South Tampa's Awesome account and all that, with a little following, and am known, locally because I've been doing the sunrises and quotes for years, there, walking on Bayshore or whatever. But when I mistakenly thought this podcast was the Flying Cattle one, I knew he was also talking to a turf dude that was actually similar. It's not Tampa Turf, but it's like has a turf company.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is this the turf company? And then I'm like, whoa, dude, it's really the Tampa Turf guy. Not
the Flying Surf and Turf.
Yeah, I
Tampa
lit
Turf.
up. Like, it was like, bam, like, how did Jonathan land this dude?
The funny thing is, I debated changing my Instagram handle for the longest time because I think people think I'm a turf company. But I just thought it was funny when I first made it because I was like, T&T, what is sort of real estate related that deals with Tampa? So I just put turf and it just sort of stuck.
I mean, shoot, you could probably sell marketing to them. Just to, give them a shout out for 30 seconds.
Dude.
There you go.
I had one turf. There's a turf company called the Tampa Turf Guys.
I think that's
Yeah.
them. So I thought you knew them, and I'm like, is that who we're going to see?
I had messaged them actually originally because I saw that they followed me, and I was like, oh God. So I messaged them. I was like, if y'all want your name, I'll give it to you. Like, I don't have connections. I'm sorry. And they were like, oh no, dude, you're fine.
You're giving us traffic.
It's been branded, man. You got to stick with it now.
At this point, I have to. Like,
And I mean, it's like you got the Dirt Dog, which is Eschenbaugh, the big land guy, and then you got, we have like Tampa Bay Lots.
Yeah.
But I think it's good, man. It's dirt, it's turf. I mean,
At this point,
it's like the football reference. It's like it does a lot of things.
Yeah, the only way I thought of it was like, it's land. That counts as house, right? So it's
Absolutely,
like,
dude. It's
same thing.
It's got a Tampa feel to it, and it's the alliteration, Tampa Turf.
I was just like, it's sort of fun. So
I got lucky with that was my last name, so Taylor Tampa Realtor. I'm really lucky.
Easy, just like
marketable as hell when it's mortgage meltdown. It's
I was always last to go to recess, but it paid off in the end.
Same, dude. Thompson.
Oh,
yeah,
he knows.
Yeah, it was every time. It was last go, but when they did it the one day where they were like, we're doing it reverse, so I was like,
thank you. I get one day out of the year.
damn.
What I missed at the beginning as far as the background growing up.
He talked about his history here, like growing up in Tampa. We talked about the horror podcast that he does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
horror podcast
not,
with horror houses.
If I say horror, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
I bleep that out every time.
I apologize. But yeah, I just grew up here, born and raised here. Lived in Nashville for a year. Went to UCF for 4 years. Moved back. Pretty much started from there. Started in real estate right out of college and never left. Never thought I'd be a realtor, to be honest. That was never the intent.
It was dropping some secrets too. Like you think that it would be from the viral videos, but he was like, no, dude, you just hammer the open houses and build connections. Like
that's what I did when I first started.
Within the first year.
Well, that's the thing. It's like like we were talking about earlier. Social media wasn't really as prevalent as it is now. Like, I think obviously with real estate, you just have to adapt over time with whatever marketing is at that point. Back then, it was open houses. I posted on Instagram every now and then, just photos. And that's it, because people like seeing pretty houses.
Right.
That's all it was. I gained a following from that over time, like surprisingly, but I didn't get a lot of business from it. Maybe one every now and then, but that's about it. And then my friend Sonia, who, shout out to her, she's an incredible agent, one of my close friends, and she just kicks absolute ass in the real estate world. She started really taking her social media seriously. And at one point, I remember I had 7,000 followers, and she was at like 4 or 5K. And I just happened to look, and then one day I looked, and she was at like 10. And I'm just like, what is happening? So I messaged her. I'm like, yo, what are you doing to implement this? Like, what's going on? Like, and she's just like, I'm just doing home tours pretty consistently, and I do them every day, and I just stay consistent with it, and it shows. Which I was honestly incredibly jealous of. I was like, okay, she's getting most of her business now from social media. She's not having to do open houses anymore.
Right.
So what can I do to implement this? So I started the whole social media thing and started doing reels more often. And I was just doing sort of fun house tours, but I was trying to think of ways to make them a little more entertaining than the normal, like, 4 bed, 3 bath, whatever. Like, it just didn't appeal to me. So I'm like, how can I make this fun? So I just did short, quick cuts of, like, the house, but I just appear in them, sort of like crawling on the floor or humping a bed. I don't know, like something stupid. So it got attention, but I wasn't getting like insane views or anything like that. I'd get maybe 2,000 to 3,000 views per video, and then lo and behold, Brad's video popped up. I said I'm gonna do this and try, and it went from there. I had 7,000 followers at the beginning of February. I have 44,000 now.
Wow.
So it's like, that's not a brag or anything.
Oh,
It's just a matter of like,
awesome.
it's literally a matter of like, I don't know what the hell.
That's what everybody's looking for. Like, how do I take my business off to the next level? You know, like, what is that thing for me?
And has that translated into business?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was talking about this earlier, actually. I had my AC guy over this morning, and ironically, he was fixing my AC. He was referred to me by another friend in Seminole Heights, and he did all the work or whatever. At the end of the day, we were talking about real estate because he owns rental properties and stuff like that. And he's like, how's the business? And I'm like, well, it's great right now, to be honest. My Instagram sort of blew up and whatever. And he's just like, oh, that's funny. Yeah, he's like, I follow this one realtor dude on Instagram. He like curses in houses and shit, and it's really funny. And I was like, Brad? And he's like, no, he's local. And I'm like, me? he had never met me before. So I showed him my videos, and he's like, what the f-? He's like, that's the exact video I was talking about. And just started laughing because it was such a small world experience. But business-wise, I've honestly never been busier. Like, it's actually been difficult to the point where I definitely need to build some type of system to where either get an assistant or get a showing assistant or something, just because all the inquiries coming in.
Right.
But it's been an absolute blessing. I didn't think my social media would blow up this much, obviously. Like, that was a giant jump where I've seen friends of mine really be consistent with it and take like years to build this type of following. I got lucky, and then 3 months later, I'm where I'm at now. At the same time, is it a bit risky? I obviously know I'm not going to attract everyone with the stuff I do, but at the same time, I want to attract the clients who are wanting to work with me.
Absolutely.
And that's been the biggest thing. So, but yeah, business-wise, it's been incredible. It's been something I did not expect would actually turn into as much business as it has. Yeah, no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, interesting being a lead generation guy myself, team leader, and that's back in like 15. I was creating so many leads, internet leads, social, that it was like, okay, start a team, and I did it all wrong. But the way that I've learned, my way of doing it was, forced registration on a landing page, then you're chasing them and you're calling 10 days of pain and texting and all that, and they don't know you from Adam, before, but then if you basically, if they're watching your videos before through either a YouTube or Instagram, and then they find their way to your website and they're asked for their information, they have that level of know, like, and trust, or feel like they know, like, and trust you, whether they do or not, but it's so much of a warmer lead.
That's been the biggest thing with it, is like when I was doing my other videos, I didn't have commentary. People could tell, oh, like, he enjoys having fun or whatever because of the silly videos I did. But when I started doing commentary, people were like, okay, I can relate to this because I make the same stupid jokes, or I know that, or whatever. So it was much more of a process to the point where people were reaching out to me or filling out my forms and being like, hey, we love your content. We think you're hysterical. Would you be willing to help us out? And that's literally the opening door for pretty much every client I've had so far in regards to social media.
Wow.
It's just a matter of I haven't had to reach out to anybody. They've all reached out to me. We've set up a buyer consultation, and we just go from there.
Right.
But it's really nice. I was never an agent who was like, cold call 5 hours a day, do this. Like,
all the motivational pictures
Yeah,
around the
like, I
office. Like,
can't.
yeah.
Right, like you got the Bluetooth speaker headset, the whiteboard. You're walking on a treadmill while working. Like, props to y'all if you do that. That's awesome. But like, my brain does not operate that way. It just doesn't. And that might sound like an excuse, but it just does not. And like, I'm not the most organized human being in the world. It's very difficult for me to time block and be like, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. you're gonna do this and then this, and like, more power to you if you can do that. I wish I could. Like, I'm trying to implement it and be better at it, but like, I'm a night owl, so I'm up till like 2 a.m. every night just sort of working or doing stuff and whatever, because that's just how I've always sort of been. I feel more productive at night.
Right.
And I don't know. So I just started doing these videos and implementing in that, and I just never wanted to be that cold call agent. I didn't want to door knock. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. But obviously in the beginning I had no money to work with, so those were my only options. I remember when I first started real estate, I had the balls to door knock Davis Islands.
Wow.
Let's go.
That's where I live right now.
Right? As a 21-year-old agent,
yeah.
new in the industry, my parents lived on Riviera, so I was like, I could just door knock and be like, hey, I'm a realtor. And now I would never be caught dead doing that.
Every person on the island's like, me too.
Right? And they just leave. It's like, okay. But like, I didn't know better, so I just knocked on the door. I was like, I'm an agent if you want to sell your, I don't know, $5 million house, by the way. And ironically now I would never do it knowing what I know now. So it's just sort of like, I love the idea of leads coming to me. I just
Inbound.
Yeah, I just never knew how to implement that, but social media has changed everything.
Yeah, so you've created a system of inbound leads for yourself, which
Absolutely.
is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
they're calling you, asking to make contact. I do off market, and speaking of Davis Islands, it's so funny because I don't knock doors, but I'm looking for the investment opportunities of the lots.
Absolutely.
But I look them up. And
Yeah,
call
no,
them,
hey,
you know.
no, more power
but
to you.
I drive my truck around, and Jonathan knows I'll pull my trailer behind.
Don't come to our backyard.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be stealing my ideas. So I drive around, you know, and people leave out nice stuff, and I'll, you know, grab if I'm out hunting. And each property represents, in essence, $100,000 potential. You know, 2.5% on the million on the land sale, and
Absolutely.
then $2.5-3 million listing on the new home construction. Another 75 or 100 grand. So,
Not too shabby.
But I love being out in the element, picking. I love going to estate sales, and so talk about that's what I love doing.
That's
I
your
love being
thing.
in my
Yeah.
shorts and my flops if I have them, and enjoying
Yeah.
life and going to eat. But the picking environment and that estate sale is like exactly the people that I want to be talking to.
I feel like every agent, that's the weird thing about real estate, is like, you can do your own thing and still be very successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Spin your personality.
yeah, like, am I selling $5 million houses and making millions of dollars a year? No. But at the same time, I've never had this is going to sound sort of crappy, I guess, but I've never had the inspiration to be that guy.
Me neither.
Like, I've never wanted to be like, I make $5 million a year, I drive this expensive car,
I got to be the best. I got to be number one.
Like, I have 80 rental properties and I'm vacationing out in Cabo right now. What are you doing with your life? I'm like, I'm sitting home
Commercial.
watching TV, chilling, enjoying life, bro. Like, I'm good. Like, as long as I'm content, I'm making to the money where I can at least travel maybe 2 to 3 times a year and support my lifestyle. I don't have kids. I don't have pets. I'm single. I'm chilling. I'm good.
God bless you.
Yeah, like, I don't need to be that guy who's like, like, I hate the whole hustle culture thing nowadays.
Yeah,
is
I agree.
honestly, like, it's gotten so overblown to the point where I'm like, can we stop, please? Like, I don't need a side hustle every 2 seconds of my life. Like, let me
Nobody's taking care of themselves
mentally.
mentally.
Can I just take a nap? Like, I don't want to work right now. Like, just let me do something. Like, I'm okay. So yeah, it's just never been my personality. So doing this has sort of helped with that, because it's just like I get to be myself and
Yeah.
still make money and go from there. But never in my life did I think I'd be a content creator or
Right.
an influencer. Or whatever you
Influencer.
want
I
to
don't
call
like
it.
being called that
Right,
either.
when
you know.
someone calls me an influencer, I'm just like,
I know, me too.
I hate the
Me
word,
too.
but
even though you understand that you are influencing decisions.
at this point,
you
yeah,
know, I mean, you know.
it's a process. It's really funny too, because I've had people meet me, and for my videos they expect me to be this one person, But then when they meet me and they realize I'm actually
Wait a minute.
right, they
They
meet
expect
me,
you to perform.
right.
Right.
Where
It's
are all
like
the
dance.
jokes?
Yeah.
Do something.
Do your thing.
This one's broken.
He's
Right.
right on cue.
But it's just like they expect that, but then they realize I'm like an actual professional and know what I'm doing. They're like, oh, so you get both sides. This is cool. It's like you're not just cursing and twerking in someone's garage. Got it. Okay. You can actually know contracts and how to negotiate. Okay. Noted. So it's funny just people seeing both sides of the spectrum, I guess, you know. It's a process.
What's next on the horizon for you? Like as far as you're looking at any new brands or any like social pages or areas, or what's your kind of vision of your future? Just growing the Tampa turf? Or?
I honestly, that's sort of my downside when it comes to this because I'm still relatively new to this. I think like it's hard for me to think big future and be like, oh, this is what it's going to be. Whereas like I know Brad, for instance, when he first started his thing, he got so many leads from it that he basically called like 8 or 10 agents and was like, hey, I don't have enough of myself obviously to handle all of this, so all these ones I'm just going to start referring out to y'all.
Nice.
I'll do the big ones, whatever, but you get all these and I get a referral. And he was like, okay. So I'm like, you basically built a makeshift team overnight. And he was like, yeah. Which, in my perspective, I've never been that guy. I've never wanted a massive team in real estate. I've always wanted to be either maybe one assistant and one buyer's agent, or just me, period. Because like my broker, I call him at the most inconvenient times all day, and I know he's got about 30 of us he's handling now, and I know that happens all day. He's got 500 unread text messages at any point in the day, and that just gives me anxiety from hell. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Absolutely not. If I have 2 unread text messages, like a missed call on my phone that I see right now is bugging me. So it's like, I can't do that. So I think the main goal is to ultimately keep building the Instagram as much as I can. Obviously branch it out as much as I possibly can. If I continue to be as busy as I am, I think the main goal would be potentially hire an assistant of some kind, even if it's a part-time assistant, to mainly work on the sort of the admin side of things and sort of follow-up side of things, so I'm not missing anything that goes between the cracks, and I can focus more on the content side of things because ultimately that's bringing me the most business. The only issue is, we were talking about this earlier, is it's hard to hire like an editor or something like that because they're not going to know how to edit what I want to put in the video or how to make it to where it needs to be,
Right.
etc. Like a recent one, I did an intro with, like, if you've ever seen the movie The Shining, I literally did a Shining intro and like a horror intro. Like, ain't no way an editor's gonna know that's what I wanted to do with it.
Right.
It just sort of came in the moment.
Is that the blood coming out of the elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
You know, this just a suggestion, and I'm nobody to suggest
please,
to you or whatever.
please.
I have a brand called Real Sultan where
Yeah.
I consult, team leaders and
Mhm.
brokers, and I analyze CRMs and all that
Yeah.
stuff or whatever. But having a team going wrong, and been there, done that, don't want the T-shirt. Realizing my mistakes, that I'm not cut out to be a team leader, but that's okay, because even
That's
if
fair.
I was, I don't want to be. I don't
Yeah.
want to herd cats. And so when you make that first move, and I've made the mistake of hiring a ISA, inside sales associate,
Yeah.
before the admin. So the admin is definitely, in my opinion, the first
The first thing
hire.
you should start.
And the thing that you may want to consider is a VA, because
Because
the VA can grow with you. They're not, sick and all this stuff or whatever. Like Tristan Ahumada that owns Lab Coat Agents, the
Mhm.
largest Facebook group for
Yeah.
realtors. He's got a team of about 25 VAs and like one project manager that manages all the VAs. But you could find the one that you could probably grow with that could learn enough about you and do the editing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but the main one where I went wrong is I didn't hire the admin, and I
First.
brought people in to like, hey, I'll give you 25% of the deal, way overpaying on the
Yeah.
back end, but I didn't have the money to pay.
Yeah.
But that first step in a VA at like $1,000 or $2,000 a month, I think you would be well served. As long as you take the time to train them and
Absolutely.
have systems, because most people don't. They get going and they never slow down in order to speed up. But anyway, for what it's worth.
No, absolutely. I think the tough thing with like an admin specifically is like, what one, how do I get them to sound personal when following up or talking to people or doing anything with the work behind the scenes if they are going to talk to anybody or potential clients? Two, what can they get away with actually saying?
Right.
Because if they're not licensed, that's where it gets a little tricky sometimes. But also, I never want to come off like not genuine. You know, like people want to talk to me. So like, I hate the idea of pawning them off to someone else.
Right.
But at the same time, if they initially talk to me, and then I can potentially get an admin to just sort of fill in the cracks while I'm doing whatever, and then I can get back and be like, hey, what's happened in between?
Right.
Tell me what's going on. They fill me in, and then I can follow up and make an appointment if needed. I think that's filling in the gaps is the hard part.
Absolutely, because one, is the ISA is talking to the leads initially, and to me that's a mistake. And the big team leaders I've seen have gone back to the nurture themselves, and you'll find that person that's good, that's outgoing and vivacious and all that would be that ISA is not going to be your good admin
Absolutely,
person.
yeah.
You want them on the disc profile. You want the S&C, the conservative person, and so finding that person that again would be okay after you're already talking to them, and then they're just the assistant, like, hey, we need this form or whatever, but they're not in any kind of salesy. They're never talking about any kind of
Like
real
It's
estate,
just
so
more
you don't
like
have to
a
worry
follow-up
about
type of
that.
like, hey, you spoke with Chandler, like, is there anything else you need from us type of thing or whatever, and then they can fill me in. And
Absolutely.
I can follow up as needed. So that's my issue is like as a one-man person, the biggest thing you're always worried about is leads potentially falling through the cracks.
Right.
And being like, okay, crap, I had all these people fill out a form or reach out to me. I followed up with them. Cool. Put them in my CRM. Cool. One day, shit, I forgot to put these people in my CRM. Go back. What and I've absolutely lost deals because of that. Like it's just sort of been.
We have a list. We
Yeah.
call it the burn list of every time there's like a client that went with somebody else because we didn't do the follow up. I'm like, we're gonna remember this forever. Put them on the board.
It's just a natural part of the game. I feel like you can't win everything, but sometimes it just happens. You just forget, or you forget to follow up. You don't follow up good enough, whatever. But like, I don't know. Like to me, it's like if I follow up a certain amount of times and I don't hear back at all, I'm just you're gone.
Tried,
But like, there's nothing I can do. But at the same time, I've had that happen, and then they reached out to me 6 months later. They
Right.
kept my number and were like, "Oh, hey," I'm like, "Who is this?" It's like, and then I got a deal from it. So it's a very weird industry.
Yeah.
And how that operates, but yeah, it's been a process.
Well, leads are great. Being a great lead generator is awesome, but we all know the fortunes and the follow-up,
Of course.
and I'm one of the worst at that myself. And so I've realized that I have to find people around that
Much
will
better,
follow up, and then I can lean into what I'm good at and just go, and then not have to worry about,
I know agents who don't use the CRM still, and they just write everything down on a paper to follow up and whatever, and they're monsters at it. And I'm just like, that's wild to me. Like, I can't imagine just
Right.
doing it on paper and just doing everything old school. Like, that's nuts. But at the same time, I feel like when you do everything digitally, it's easy to forget that you should be on that platform every day, checking this and doing this. Whereas if you have something physical or tangible, like a piece of paper or something in front of you, like a whiteboard, you're looking at it, you know what you wrote last, get on it.
That's our Florida room. We have like all these windows around, and then I put whiteboard like markers on all of them, so we like the big hitters.
Oh, fancy.
That's how we keep it up.
And on a CRM, what I've learned recently is that here Boomtown goes down for 6 days. And that if that's your CRM and you can't access your hot list, that you really should, whether you're in any sales business, insurance or real estate, print out that hot list of those people that you're carrying it around with you, the physical copy, because you're looking at it, it's right there with you. And if the database CRM goes down, then you got the physical copy right there.
These are the main ones that you need to talk to. And
Exactly. The most important ones, and as the sales gravy guy says, he says the ones most likely to buy or sell.
Absolutely.
He asked a room full of realtors, he's like, who should you call first? And they're all like, this person, that person. He's like, the ones most likely to buy or sell.
Yep.
It seems obvious, but we'll literally call everybody else but those people, a lot of times.
That makes sense.
Well, that's interesting, man. Well, congrats on your success. And what do you do for like personal? You golf or?
Oh God, I don't think I've touched a golf club in a hot minute. I used to golf a very long time ago. I was very fortunate growing up. My dad used to be a member of, or still is a member of Avila. So I was very spoiled growing up, getting to go there all the time. That was when I was really into golf. I quit golf. I guess that's the term. When I was like maybe 14, 15 years old. I still play every now and then with my dad, just not as often as I used to. I used to be really good. I had like, I think it was like maybe like a 10, 11 handicap when I was like 14, which isn't great, but it's pretty decent for the age.
Yeah, real good.
So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But my dad doesn't play much anymore either, so most of the time, let's see, pickleball takes up like 90% of my life. Like, just sort of happened. I was a big beach volleyball player.
Me too.
For a long time, but then I realized I have a very heavy height disadvantage, unfortunately. Beach and indoor. I grew up playing indoor for most of my life, switched to beach. Still have a height disadvantage, don't have much of vertical. Doesn't help out very much. I'm a solid player, but I just, one of my friends introduced me to pickleball, which I thought was the dumbest sport in the world. When I watched it online and on YouTube, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll go play and see what happens, whatever. And they were all beginners. I was technically a beginner, but then I realized how much better I was than them because I used to play tennis, ping pong, racquetball, everything growing up like that. So I was like,
This is fun to dominate.
Yeah, I like this. I could see something in this. So slowly but surely, got a paddle, kept going. Now I've gotten this huge community of people that I've just been able to make incredible friends with and a great environment. I've gotten plenty of leads and deals from it as well, which is incredible.
Where you guys play?
Where?
Yeah.
HCC,
Okay.
McFarland. Play Ebor, the new one, the Tampa pickleball crew. Really cool people, but like I don't know, it's too expensive for what they have, and it just doesn't make sense. But great place. But Cascada and pretty much anywhere, McFarland Park's usually the go-to if it's not HEC. Now we have these. I'm not telling y'all where, but
There's that honeypot.
Right, there's 4 brand new courts over in the area that we play in. It's in like a private apartment community or something like that, and they let anyone in and no one's ever there. They're nice courts and we never get bothered, so that's usually where we go now.
Yeah, we just play at the fire station. We'll
There's
set up
somebody
one.
that's playing by our house that like on Mondays. I come back and I'm walking in, I hear, and there's several people playing, so we need to be schmoozing the neighbors up there.
It's addicting.
I heard there's people that play at the Tampa fire station on Davis Island too.
Do you know there's a long shot? Do you know Ryan Ravello?
Sounds really familiar.
Or Jesse
actually.
Kriz.
I think,
They're both firefighters and they both play a ton
Are they
of
Hillsborough or are
pickleball.
they Tampa?
They're both Hillsborough.
They're both Hillsborough.
Wait, I think I didn't know there was a difference Hillsborough and Tampa.
There's 1,300 of us.
I know.
So
That's
people
why I always say it's a
people
long
name
shot.
drop all the
That's
time.
why I
I'm
say
like,
it's a long shot.
I'm still new. I'm still new until I can recognize names.
I mean, Jesse's been there. He's been,
Yeah.
he's in his 40s, I think, so he's been there for a while. Ryan's been a firefighter for a decent amount, but I play pickleball with Ryan all the time. He's always like, yeah, we set it up at the fire station and stuff like that. I'm like, must be nice. But yeah, that's like 90% of what I do most of the time. It's either that, I watch a ton of horror movies because that's like a huge thing for me, and like I'm really big in that community. I'm trying to think of like the casual stuff I do on a day-to-day basis.
I like to read the dictionary.
You like any
Yeah.
shows, any of the like CSIs or Criminal Minds?
Oh,
any of
God.
those
Well,
things?
Criminal Minds has been a guilty pleasure of mine since I was like
I
14.
love
So
it.
that's
I can't wait for the new
yeah,
season.
like
coming
a
up.
portion of it you're like, this is cheesy and this definitely doesn't happen, but the rest of it you're just like, this is fun. Like this is really
I have
addicting.
dreams of being able to be
Oh, absolutely. I love. My friend met Dr. Reed, and whatever his real name is in real life,
what is it?
Matthew Gerber?
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that, right? Yeah. She met
Gruber.
him. Yeah, Gruber. Yeah.
Yeah.
She met him in real life like not that long ago, and she like fangirled the hell out of him.
Dude, he
It
was
so
one of my
funny.
favorites for years.
He's-
I mean, I've been watching that show.
He's a
for
strange dude.
forever.
He's
Yeah.
he's an
Sure
oddball
he
in real life
is.
too.
I'm
which
watching the show. I guess I could see that.
Yeah, right. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like half the time you're like, you're not acting. You just no, great show. I watch a ton of TV, like TV, movies. That's like a very big portion of my life. Just always has been. Used to be a pretty big gamer back in the day. I don't game as much anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, honestly, if it involves movies or pickleball, that's about most of my personality.
What are your favorite series, like on either
Oh,
Paramount
God.
or
Well, Game of
Netflix?
Thrones used to be one of my favorite shows of all times before it absolutely just
For the sixth
ruined
season.
everything. Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore. Even though House of the Dragon has been pretty decent. Recently, the new Fallout series is really, really good.
Dude, I love those games.
Yeah, I
you play
played
Fallout 3?
all of them.
That was the first game I was ever
addicted.
addicted to.
Yeah.
I was like, I might have a problem.
Dude, it was so good.
Yeah.
Every Fallout game is, well, not all of them have been great, but they've all been pretty fun.
Yeah.
That series has been great. I've been watching, oh God, what I watch here's the nerd portion of me, if that's what people want to call it, but it's more mainstream now. I watch a ton of anime, so that's also a big thing for me as well, but it's funny because I used to get bullied for that in high school, but now it's like a popular
Now it's the cool thing.
right? So I'm just like, man, y'all suck. Like, I literally got bullied for this.
I liked it before it was cool.
Right? Like, just like the concept of like, oh, now there's emo festivals. I'm like, I got bullied for this too. What, like, you guys all suck. I go to shows a lot too. That's a big one for me. I go to a lot of concerts, a lot of shows. I'm a musician, so it's always been sort of a
What do
thing
you
for
play?
me. Drums.
Who's
Yeah.
your favorite band out there?
Oh, God.
Current.
Current
And past. Like, what favorite band of all
I
time?
don't think I've ever been able to name a favorite band of all
Like,
time.
what's your top 3, 5 bands?
It's even harder. There's a band called Envy on the Coast that I've always been a massive fan of. They're not together anymore, unfortunately. I feel, God, this is gonna sound really dumb, but I love the 1975, and I always have. They're just a really good pop rock band. We don't talk about their last 2 albums though. Only the first 3, nothing else. Who's like a really big band I'm into now? Like I grew up I mainly grew up in like the punk and hardcore scene.
Right.
That was like a big thing for me because I've been
Social Distortion.
I haven't heard that name.
I'm a skateboarder from
Oh,
everybody.
well, yeah. See, like I grew up going to Transitions, which was a local venue over at Spot. At
Okay, yeah.
Tampa
Go there all
Skateboard.
the time. My
Yeah.
son's a scooter
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. He's a scooter kid. That's awesome.
Yeah. Tilted Casey.
Oh my god.
YouTube and Instagram.
Tilted Casey. See, I grew up watching like Scarred with Jacoby from Papa Roach, and like half that. I was never much of a skateboard and stuff, but that show scarred me to the point where I didn't want to. I was like, ugh. But yeah, I grew up going to shows at Transitions all the time with like the local music scene and stuff. So that was like a big portion of my life. Met a lot of incredible people. When me and my best friend were in a band, we were in a band for like I think 4 or 5 years, maybe something like that. We toured Florida a little bit. We never got like huge or anything. Like it was just a fun thing for us to do. We wrote music, released some albums. It was always a fun thing. Unfortunately, I'm an old man now and I have issues in my wrist, so I can't play as much drums as I used to. But yeah, been an incredible time. So shows are like music's a huge portion of my life. That's probably like arguably the biggest part of my life. Like me and my best friend are probably at a show every week, every other week.
You familiar with Tedeschi Trucks?
No.
Okay.
Tedeschi Trucks.
It's Derek Trucks is the Butch Trucks from the Allman Brothers. It's
Okay.
his nephew, and he's a slide guitarist. I've been watching him since he's like 13 years
Interesting.
old. Played with the Allman Brothers for years, and noted as one of the best guitarists in the world. Met a girl named Susan Tedeschi, and they formed the band Tedeschi Trucks.
Very cool.
Many people's favorite band to go watch. It's a collection of some of the best
Members of,
musicians
like,
in the
every-
world. The drummer, I used to be the manager in Pensacola of a band called Wave, and the drummer Tyler Greenwell was my roommate, but my other roommate was Mike Lockwood, a classical musician,
Okay.
guitarist. I felt like they had world-class talent. I was like their number one fan. I go watch them everywhere.
Absolutely.
Tyler went on to become, he's regarded as a top 10 drummer in the world. A Grammy
Wow.
Award-winning drummer. The story just got discovered in Pensacola. We all knew he was a good drummer. None of us had
Slowly
any
got to that point.
idea that he was a phenom.
There's a lot of underrated drummers in that aspect too, because unless you're like a musician, you don't really know sometimes. Like I remember I went to go. This is so dumb. I went to go see Katy Perry, of all things, but we were going for the opening band. Me and my buddy, a band called Purity Ring. It was like this sort of like synth pop-esque band. And we were gonna leave and not even watch Katy Perry, which was the dumbest thing ever. But we got like $20 nosebleed tickets at Emily. We're like, okay, cool. And my buddy was like, "Do you want my tickets?" I'm like, "What do you mean? We're at the show." He's like, "Well, we can't come. Do you want my tickets?" I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "I have pit tickets I'm giving to you for free." I'm like, "Absolutely, we'll watch Katy Perry. Let's go." So we went to the pit, hung out. So glad we stayed, one, because even if I mean, she's got bangers. She's got incredible songs. She's a big artist for a reason. But we didn't really care all that much. But then when we got up there and we saw the stage production and the money that goes into a show like that, absolutely. We'll go to see that anytime. But ironically, halfway through the set, I noticed their drummer, who's playing this massive bright pink DW kit. And I'm just like, that's cool. I wish I had that. I noticed, I'm like, wait a second, that looks a lot like a drummer I know. And then at the end of the set, there's a drummer called Tony Royster Jr., who's always been known as arguably one of the best drummers in the world. He had a video go viral on YouTube when YouTube was like first around. And it got millions and millions of views because he was like 13 and he did a Guitar Center drum off and he won, I'm pretty sure. And I'm like, this 13-year-old just killed everybody. And like, who was like 20s, 30s, 40s, it didn't matter. I'm just like, that's insane. And I was a huge drummer, or like getting into drumming, whatever, earlier on, and he was a big influence for me. And I watched the drum, as I was watching the drummer, I'm like, no, that's definitely Tony Royster Jr.
Holy crap.
Like, I'm 100% sure. And at the end of the set, when everything's clearing out and people are picking up or whatever, I just yelled his name as loud as I could, like, Tony! And he's just like, he literally turns around like, what the f-? Because he's not expecting anyone to know who he is, probably. I'm like, I love you. I'm a huge drummer. Can you give me a stick or something? And he literally goes, absolutely, and just grabs a pair of sticks and tosses them to me.
Awesome.
But then
Have my symbol.
right, it's like, give me something. But it's funny because then a bunch of people behind me were like, Tony, and he was like, y'all don't know who I am. But it's been really cool. Like being in a band.
Great story. Man.
It was fun. I still have that drumstick to this day.
That's cool.
But it's been fun. Like being in a band and stuff just opened up a lot of opportunities. We've had incredible people, and my best friend's a videographer, so now he gets to film a bunch of shows all the time and get paid for it and stuff like that. So it's been a very cool experience. Like we miss it every day. Even when we were playing shows for 2 people, we didn't care. It was still a fun time. So we enjoyed it.
I'm an air musician myself.
You're what?
Air musician.
Air musician. Hey, we're all
That's all.
rock band and Guitar Hero are very much things.
I'll send you. I'll message you on Instagram.
Do it.
My account that's
Absolutely.
private, and I play.
Is there-
Tyler Greenwell's bongos on there. And I play air
Interesting.
guitar, different instruments.
guitar. I
broom,
like it.
Play the broom.
I like it.
So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Tampa Bay.
It's like-
Got to give a shout out to Rose Shirty for letting us use their office.
Absolutely.
It's
Thank you,
amazing.
guys.
This is the Buck Stadium. It still blows my mind. Tune in next time. Whenever we have the next podcast. I got to edit all these.
Absolutely, Chandler. Thank you, buddy.
It's a pleasure,
Thanks a
man.
lot,
Yeah, we
man.
shake hands
Appreciate it
afterwards.
very much.
I feel like
Thanks, guys.
we just sort of went on tangents about other things.
Dude, that's great. That's what it is.
It'll be high.